Hello guys, it is Gate of Theories, and this week on Gate of Theories we are looking at Wreck-It Ralph 2's new trailer. And the first thing I noticed about this trailer was that baby Moana is in it. Sorry guys, we're not actually talking about how baby Moana seems to be in the Wreck-It Ralph 2 trailer, but if you want us to theorize how on earth that could be baby Moana, then make sure to leave it down in the field section down below and we'll have a look into it. But no, instead we're looking at the arcade and looking at the very beginning of the trailer where we see the arcade. And is it just me, or does it look a bit empty? So today we're going to wonder why on earth the arcade seems to be empty in Wreck-It Ralph 2. But before we go any further, we have a quick question for you guys. Can you guess the movie from these emojis? The answer will be at the end of the video, and also we have a quick game for you guys. There will be a missing item throughout the video. In the field section down below, you have to tell us A, what that item is, and B, how many times it appeared in the video. And also, before we go any further, please make sure you've hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, as we are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. To find out why on earth the arcade seems to be so empty in this trailer, we're going to first of all look at two stages. We're going to A, look on the outside, and B, look in the inside. So first of all, let's look on the outside. In Wreck-It Ralph, we see that it seems to be pretty popular. There are cars around in the car park, there are kids cycling from home to get to the arcade, and then suddenly, in this new trailer, there is one car pulling up, which is Mr. Lickwax's, and that's it. There's literally no other cars, and we know that it's open, as when he finally walks inside, it shows the open sign. So obviously it's open, and there doesn't seem to be anyone rushing in at all. I mean, we saw in the first movie, as soon as Mr. Litwack opened the arcade, there was a queue of people trying to rush to get in. So how come there isn't now? How come the car park seems to just be so empty? And also, if you look at the lighting when the kids were cycling down to get to the arcade, the lighting is much lighter and all of that stuff, so it looks like people are really enjoying it. But this lighting is more dull and stuff like that, sort of showing sadness a bit. Now let's look in the inside of the arcade. In the first movie, we see that it is full of kids and all of that stuff, and lights everywhere, whereas in this trailer, it looks like really dull. Like we said before, the lighting seems pretty dull and sadness and stuff like that. And is it just me, or it might just be the angle of the picture that we get in the trailer? But it looks like there seems to be like less games than there was before, and there's no kids running around, as we said before. There's nothing. It just seems to be Mr. Litwack with a bunch of old games. Now let's look at in the games themselves in Game Central Station. In the first movie, which this image is taken from, in the first movie, people are rushing to get to their games. As soon as they hear that the arcade is about to open in 5 minutes, people are rushing to their games, and the only people left in Game Central Station are the people with no games. I mean, it seems pretty much empty, and yet we know that the arcade is open, and yet Vanellope and Ralph are just randomly in Game Central Station, just walking around, not worried about their game, about people playing their game. I mean, they don't seem to be worried at all. The whole of the first movie is that Fix-It Felix Jr. is going to be shut down because Ralph wasn't in the game. So why aren't they worrying at all? They look really happy. They just seem like they can just go and visit a new game even though the arcade is open. So why is that? So I've been thinking for quite a while now why on earth this arcade seems to be so empty, and I finally came up with a theory that I think could work. For this theory that I'm about to tell you, to work is that we have to think about our world today. And before we go any further, we've just got to think of the timings between Wreck-It Ralph 1 and Wreck-It Ralph 2. Now, I'm going to say it's 6 years between Wreck-It Ralph 1 and Wreck-It Ralph 2, because Wreck-It Ralph 1 came out in 2012 in our world, and Wreck-It Ralph 2 is coming out in 2018, which is a 6-year gap. So I'm going to stick with how many years they are apart in our world and say it's the same in their world. Now, you guys will know this from your own life, that a lot of changes can happen in 6 years. First of all, let's think about what this movie is actually all about. It's about Wi-Fi, which is why it's called Ralph Breaks the Internet, as Ralph and Vanellope, as we've seen from this trailer, go through the Wi-Fi cable and are in the Wi-Fi world. And that is basically the whole point of the movie, Wi-Fi. Now the question is, why Mr. Litwack is now getting Wi-Fi now and he didn't have it before then? And I've theorized that the reason why is because, like our world, you may see a lot of people in our world today go into arcades, but nowadays most people just use Wi-Fi at home or somewhere else and just play games at home or in the car or anything like that. Like we were mentioning baby Moana before, she was using her iPad or tablet to use Wi-Fi to play games while she was in the car. So what is really the point of an arcade if you've already got something that you can use all the time, instead of actually going to an arcade and pay money? And it's just like our world. Recently arcades might have gone downhill. I mean, you still see loads of people in them, but not as much as there used to be, because Wi-Fi has taken over. And like we said before, Wi-Fi seems to be everywhere, as baby Moana, who we don't know if she is baby Moana yet, is using Wi-Fi on her tablet to play a game. So that's the reason why Mr. Litwack has got Wi-Fi, because the arcade is becoming so unpopular as loads of people are just using Wi-Fi or games at home and aren't coming. That's the reason why it's so dull, why it's so empty, because people aren't coming to the arcade. So what they're doing is they are staying at home and just playing on games at home. So Mr. Litwack has bought Wi-Fi to try and get more customers in. That's the reason why it's so empty. That's the reason why he's just walking into an empty place, because he's going to install Wi-Fi to hopefully get the arcade back up and for more people to come. Because like we said before, even the game characters know about this, as Vanellope and Ralph, they're just randomly walking around, not worrying about anything, because they know that the arcade seems to be empty. So the arcade is empty because no one is going to it. So guys, that is our reason why we think that the arcade seems to be so empty in Wreck-It Ralph 2's new trailer. The reason is because the arcade is now unpopular. So maybe while Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope are out in the Wi-Fi world, maybe Mr. Litwack is going to try and get people to come to the arcade, which could cause some problems if people did come in the arcade and Ralph and Vanellope are out somewhere. So kind of like maybe copying the first movie. Anyway, tell us in the field section down below what you thought of this theory, and if you think that the arcade is getting unpopular and that Mr. Litwack has installed Wi-Fi because he wants the arcade to get more popular. Tell us if you agree in the field section down below, and if you did agree, then please like this video, and again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. As I said before, we are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, so we would appreciate if you did subscribe. And the answer to the emoji question is Ice Age. If you did get that right, then please tell us that in the field section down below. And also, did you find our missing item? Tell us that in the field section down below if you did. And we've been here on Gate of Theories, and I will see you guys later.